Comedy Film Nerds Podcast.
Hey, Graham L with Comedy Film Nerds at the Albuquerque Film Festival with one of the stars of the Dryland, America Fererra. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
What drew you to this role?
Well, actually, I'm an executive producer of this film, and I signed on to produce it before I decided to act in it. And I was there from, the research part to the writing the script era, and about a year and a half into the process, decided to play the part. And I think that what was interesting to me about the story as a whole was just that it was very relevant to now, to what our generation is going to be dealing with, now and in the near future, and will only become clear over time, the effects that this war has on our generation and on the men and women who fought it and the families who are behind them. And what I loved about the role of Sarah was that it, often we see a lot of films that I love, that I'm very inspired by, like Apocalypse Now and Deer Hunter and Coming Home, and I love those films. And what I thought was important about this film was that it showed James, the soldier's struggle in reintegrating into his life, but also it showed the struggle of the family too, and the sacrifices they make, and sort of the confusion that they have about how to reconnect. And to prepare for the role, I got to speak to a lot of women whose husbands came home with PTSD, and we've shown this film on bases, Fort Carson and Fort Bliss, for hundreds of soldiers and their families, and getting to hear their stories and getting to hear them be really grateful that someone took the time to tell their story.
Well, that's my question. Like, what has their response to seeing the movie been? Has it just been like overwhelming that someone's talking? Because that's the thing I've noticed. I'm a stand-up comic, and I did some USO tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I've noticed that most people, there's so much, nobody wants to talk about it. And how much of that have you encountered since in the process of making this movie?
Well, we've found that, in screening it for soldiers, we've gotten an incredible feedback, and they are so excited that that someone is telling their story. And personally, I think that we did it very well, and they have seconded that, and they've really said it feels authentic, it feels real, that was me, or that was my friend, or that was my brother, that was my sister, whatever. And that has been really rewarding to get that feedback from the soldiers and from the families. And we also went to Iraq on a USO tour. We didn't show the film. We talked a lot about the film and the subject, but we were just there to kind of say hi to the guys, and that was really exciting.
Tell people what that experience is like, because few people can understand what that's like unless they go over there. What is it like going into the forward operating bases and speaking to soldiers in a war zone? I know that's like, hey, like, sum it up in one quick sentence.
I feel like I'm still figuring it out, and I don't think that I had any perspective on it until I left. When you're there, it is what it is, and you're confronted with soldiers you're there to bring up their morale and their spirit. And I think the USO does a wonderful job of bringing a little bit of relaxation to them via, the celebrities or bands or comedians that they bring over. And so our job was really exciting. And every time we got to see the soldiers, it was a moment of like excitement for them. So it wasn't until I got home that I kind of processed, oh, wow, what, I mean, there were moments when we were there that it felt very real and was sobering, and you thought, okay, this is where we are. But a lot of the times you were just there and forgotten, just, present with whatever soldier was in front of you, talking about, that they saw this movie or that show, or their wife wants a picture, so it was just trying to be present in the moment, I guess.
That's so great that you guys did that. Let me ask you one last question here. Do you see yourself doing more independent film in the executive producer or actor level, or?
Well, I love independent film. I mean, I see myself doing whatever comes around that is exciting to me, whether that's TV or film or independent film, or studio films or documentaries, or, whatever's there and whatever inspires me, or whatever I can get behind and create. I don't really think of myself as in terms of genres, I like it all. I'm inspired by it all. I'm there watching the action films, first in line there as much as I am, watching the independent films. And I loved producing this movie. it was an incredibly rewarding experience. And what I was saying before was my whole career started in independent film, and I think that there's something so wonderful and intoxicating about the spirit of, you know, independent filmmakers who are just hungry to get it made and are really just vying for it, and there's not room for anything other than like the passion to be present. And when that all lines up and you're on a set where everyone believes in the story and believes in what you're doing and is willing to work, you know, their butts off just to get this out there, it's such a wonderful feeling, you know, because everyone's there for the right reasons.
That's awesome.